What is going on, Jets Nation? Welcome back to Jets Media. My name is Richie, and in today's video, I want to talk about a report from Rich Cimini of ESPN. He was on a podcast talking about that the Jets are actually open to the idea and looking to trade back in the NFL draft. Now, in this video, I kind of want to break down what we can expect from the New York Jets at that 10th overall spot, because after the New York Jets went out there and landed Tyron Smith on Friday night to fill out the offensive line, things are getting interesting when it comes to the New York Jets draft approach in the first round. I'm going to break it all down, and I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. Where do you want the Jets to go at number 10? Because there are so many different options. They can stay put at number 10. They can be trading down. They could be taking Brock Bowers. They could be taking Rome Odunze at 10. They can trade down and get more assets. There's so many different scenarios, and I'm excited to break it all down in this video, folks. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you're just tuning into the video, and subscribe to the channel. Want to also say thank you guys so much. We just hit 22,000 subscribers on the channel today, so thank you, Jets Nation. Cannot tell you how much that means to me. The Jets family and the NFL family here on the channel, I cannot say thank you enough. I appreciate you all. Let's get further into the video, folks. So let's get into the report. Mr. Boy Green put this out there, and I'll link the video in the description of what Rich Cimini had to say if you want to listen to his words. But we'll read the quote here that Boy Green quoted from the Anita Mark show on ESPN. From the stuff I'm hearing, I really think they wouldn't mind trading back at all a few spots. They only have 2 picks in the top 100. I think they would like to get a 3rd pick in the top 100, and to do that, they could trade down from 10 to say 14 or 15 and pick up an extra pick. I think that's very much on their wish list right now. So this is definitely some really, really interesting stuff here to talk about, because I think this is the best thing the Jets got to do. We gave up a 2nd round pick for Aaron Rodgers. The New York Jets currently do not have a 2nd round pick. We have the 10th overall pick. We have the 72nd overall pick, and the Jets want to really get more assets. That's what you got to do. You trade back 100%. I'm on board with this scenario. Now, the first thing we, wonder, who are the prospects? Who are the guys that the Jets will be targeting if they do slide back? Now, a guy that I would really love the Jets to bring in is Troy Fautanu from Washington, because he is the exact piece of this offensive line that would just round it out, not only for the short term, but for the long term. Now, hear me out here about Troy Fautanu, because he's a guard tackle hybrid. He may not play in year number 1, but maybe he will because of potential injuries here. Tyron Smith's on a 1-year deal. Morgan Moses, 1-year deal. We need some long-term, continuity for this Jets offensive line. I know everybody wants to go Brock Bowers or Rome Odunze, and we'll talk about those prospects in this video. Hear me out here about Troy real quick, because I'm looking at this offensive line, and I like it, but what's the biggest concern? Injuries. I want this Jets team to have the deepest stacked up offensive line, where if somebody gets injured, we're not screwed, because unfortunately it feels like the offensive line is inevitably going to get hurt, at least a couple of guys. Every team deals with injuries across the offensive line. Unfortunately for the Jets, they've been dealt the worst of the hands recently. So a guy like Troy Fautanu, maybe even getting a tackle as well outside of him. But the reason why I love Fautanu as a prospect, he's skying up draft boards, and he is a guard tackle hybrid. He can learn behind Tyron Smith, learn behind Morgan Moses, even slide in inside if an injury happens. So that's one of my guys I'd like in a trade down situation. Another guy you absolutely got to talk about, Brian Thomas from LSU, a wide receiver, because right now the New York Jets they have not added a wide receiver, which I think they will. I definitely feel like the Jets, or I know they are going to either trade or target a free agency wide receiver before the NFL draft, and they're going to add another one in the NFL draft as well. So in the trade back scenarios, I like Brian Thomas. I like Troy Fautanu. Those are my 2 options, and there's obviously a lot of other names that we can talk about. But they stayed at number 10, right? Say the New York Jets stayed put at the 10th spot. A name that everyone's talking about is Brock Bowers, the tight end. He's been one of my favorite pieces of this NFL draft class for me. And now that there's an actual possibility for the Jets to land him at 10, I'm getting a little giddy, because the potential offense of, say, hypothetically, we sign Mike Williams or we trade for a big wide receiver, right? And then we go out there in the NFL draft and we draft Brock Bowers, and the offense is Aaron Rodgers with Breece Hall, this offensive line, and then all the weapons around him with Garrett Wilson, a big name. Hopefully we bring in at wide receiver, and Brock Bowers and Conklin and Ruckert. That is playmakers. But then on the flip side, I'll loop it back to the Troy Fautanu pick. What's the depth of this offensive line looking like? Because I'm someone that wants the offensive line to be ready to go, not only this year, but for the long term. Now, these are the tough conversations that the Jets and Joe Douglas are having right now, and I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts. Would you rather the Jets go all in with Aaron Rodgers and build around him today, because we do have a 2-year window with Aaron? So that's one side that I'm all on board with, by the way. Don't worry about the long term of the offensive line. We figured it out in terms of the starting 5. Let's get another weapon and a playmaker to take the top off the defense, because another thing we learned about the Jets offense last year is it's lacking dynamic playmakers. We have 2 really good playmakers in Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. Outside of that, we don't have anybody like above the top. And you can get a Garrett Wilson or Breece Hall level talent in the first round, like a Brock Bowers, like a Rome Odunze, right? I don't know if the Neighbors or is going to fall to the Jets at number 10. Brian Thomas is another name as well. Like, do the Jets go playmaker, or do they still go offensive line? But I will finish off with this. I love the idea of the New York Jets trading down, because that's what the focus of this video is, and it seems like the New York Jets are open to that idea, getting an extra pick in that second round, because as of right now, again, the Jets don't have as much draft capital as they'd like. We have not seen Joe Douglas trade back in the first round yet. That's pretty shocking if you think about it. He's only traded up. He traded up for Elijah Vera Tucker. He traded up for Jermaine Johnson. He traded up for Breece Hall. He's traded back in the late rounds, but he's never traded up in the first round. Traded back in the first round, excuse me. And I feel like this is the year. It makes way too much sense. Slide back to pick 14, slide back to maybe pick 15, get an extra third-round pick this year, or hopefully we can get a second-round pick. That would be ideal here. But I think that the Jets are going to be really aggressive on the phones and trying to get as much draft ammunition possible, and even using that draft ammunition, by the way, to trade for a big name, right? I think that's another thing we have to talk about. Maybe before the NFL draft, the Jets package some of their picks similar to what they did for Morgan Moses to get a starting right tackle. I can definitely see them be aggressive for, say, Brandon Ayuk or a T. Higgins or somebody in the trade market at wide receiver, and getting them in the building, and then trading back from 10, getting some of those assets back that what we traded for that hypothetical wide receiver. I think there's so many amazing avenues for the Jets to go down, and I'm really excited to see how this all plays out. So just breaking down this report, I'm all in on trading back, getting more assets, getting more flexibility. This is the year to do it, Joe Douglas. I love the offensive line. Obviously, we have to stay healthy, but the big question that I'll leave you guys with, I already asked you in this video, but I'll ask you for the final time at the end of this show. Comment down below your thoughts. Would you rather the Jets go playmaker and give Aaron Rodgers another potential dynamic piece, or would you rather them go the long-term approach, still get an offensive lineman, maybe even still getting Talisi Fuaga, maybe still getting a Troy Fatanu as well? So let me know your thoughts. Maybe there's other prospects in the first round that I'm not even bringing up that you feel like the Jets should be targeting. Sound off in the comment section, guys. Love you all. Let's go Jets, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out. Let's go Jets.